Well, okay, I'm back. So I've got a dilemma. I don't have enough screens apparently. 3 screens is not enough. I was hoping to be able to monitor my chat live here. One of the benefits of streaming is that you can do the chat, but I can't figure out a way to do that. If somebody knows a way, maybe I can try it on the next stream. Go ahead and fill me in. Anyway, couple of things here. I am doing an economy mod. I started brand new. Wanted to play the New Mexico DLC and go brand new with an economy mod. I've been doing an economy mod on ATS 2 for my stream, on Euro Truck Simulator 2 for my stream, and I quite enjoy it. One of the downsides is you don't get to buy a truck nearly as soon, but one of the upsides is it makes it a whole hell of a lot more challenging. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But since I don't have another monitor, I'm gonna have to pop over periodically and check to see if there's any chat activity. The other thing here is I just barely got a Tech Affliction mega shifter. So it's right here. It is the same idea as a SKRS, but you actually get it. You order it and you actually get one. So I ordered mine 4 weeks ago, I think now, and I just got it today. It just got delivered today. So I'm pretty excited now. Want to use this chance to go ahead and practice. I did play just a little bit earlier to make sure I got everything set up correctly. I do have the Easy Jake. So if we look right here, it's going to scream at me. I do have an Easy Jake. And then I got the Eden Fuller emblem there. So you've got on the front, you've got the range selector, and then on the side you've got the splitter, or the gear splitter. So now that's 1 high, 1 low. If I go back, that's 5 low, 5 high. It worked pretty well using it before. One thing I'm noticing is it's already a lot taller than my old shifter. I do float my gears generally, so I will be doing that. If you hear some grinding, that's why. If we look at my load, I've got 21 tons of grain. Other than the initial one that it makes you do before you get to choose your own, this is the first delivery I will be doing. So there is no previous delivery. I currently have how much to my name? $1,532 to my name. Now that's the economy mod kicking in, where that last one that I did only gave me a little bit of money. So hopefully my volume level is okay. Let's go ahead and get started here. I do not need that because I've got one up top. Okay, a few of the mods, this truck's a mod. I've got a few truck mods. I also have a physics mod, the economy mod, and Jazzy Cat, AI, traffic, things like that. And I also have this UI mod that you see up here at the top, which puts a lot of the information that would normally be in the little corner screen here up at the top of my screen. So some of the things that I'm missing, I don't like to have that. It kind of kills the immersion for me, but there are certain things you miss when you don't have it, which this provides for me. And things like, what time is it? When am I expected? That kind of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and yeah, that's probably pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and get on the road here. I've got our delivery here. We are going from Albuquerque, which is where my garage is, down through Socorro, and dropping into Alamogordo. So that's where we are, and that's where we're headed. Let's see how this turns out. I've got a DualShock 4 over here that I've got a bunch of different things mapped to. I actually used it before I got my Mega Shifter, and this used to be my range selector and gear splitter. It is no longer that, so hopefully I get used to that. Also, I used to have my microphone here. My Blue Yeti used to be mounted on the other side of the desk, but now with that, it's in the way. So just before I started here, I went in and switched to the other side of the desk. We'll see how this turns out. So Let's go ahead and get on the road. One thing that I've heard bothers people, and I was listening to some stuff on it as well, is that in a real semi, you would be able to start off without giving it any throttle, right? I mean, the engine has, well, actually what it is I think two things: even the idling torque of the engine, as well as the mass of the flywheel, is enough to get things going. Okay, so I can already tell that this angle is not going to work for me because I cannot see any of the lights. So I may not be able to see both of these in one go. Okay, so if I get up here for the light, this is as far back as I can go. Maybe if I sit a little shorter. We're just going to have to be a really short guy. Okay, so that's the route we're going to have to go. And we'll look up a little bit more. That's probably pretty good. Okay. Which also means, while I look at it, I need to move my steering wheel down just a tad more. Get it out of the way of those things. Okay. So, turn signal. So anyway, in a real semi, in game here, you have to kind of give it some throttle to get going, but on a real semi, except in all but the worst of scenarios, you don't want to do that. You don't touch the throttle until after you're completely off of the clutch, in order to keep as little wear as possible on the clutch. For one thing, you don't want to burn up your clutch. So I kind of wish I could find a mod that would implement that for me. You know, a throttleless start mod or something like that, or a physics mod that had that built in. But so far I have not had any luck with that. I did just barely start, so I had been playing with the stock physics. Okay, what am I doing here? Oh, okay, I'd already flipped it up. I did that without even thinking about it. That really threw me off. Anyway, I've been playing with the stock physics, and this physics mod that I have here actually makes the RPMs on the engine drop a lot faster. I was trying to watch some videos earlier today and decide whether that's more realistic or less realistic than a real truck, and I didn't need to do that. And I could not decide, actually. Watching some of the guys shift, it looked like, they were able to shift fairly quickly, which makes me think that maybe this mod actually makes it change a little bit too slowly. But we'll have to see how I feel in a little bit. I know I used to like it, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes long run. I'm going to turn the volume down on my headset a little bit. Okay, and we are on the open road. We are running in 7 high right now. So far, the Mega Shifter, I'm loving the build quality. I have no idea. I've read lots of bad things about the build quality on the competing SKRS, which isn't competing very well because they're not making them. Anyway, that's another story, and maybe I'll get into that. But I'm loving the build quality. It feels like a solid piece of hardware to me. I don't foresee it breaking anytime soon. Oh man, I am all over the place. I don't foresee it breaking anytime soon. We'll see if that is the case in the long run. But yeah, I'm gonna show it off here. I'm loving it. I got the Eaton Fuller, I got the Easy Jake, and then anyway, it's great. So far so good. After I got it, I went to the site to download the drivers, and I was like, I can't find the drivers. And I was about to try and figure out, okay, well, what am I supposed to do for the drivers? Oh, that's why I didn't set up. Sorry, my cruise is not set up. Anyway, I was like, what do I do for the drivers? And so I was like, I guess I'll just plug it in. And I plugged it in and it installed its own drivers, and it was good to go. It was actually really, really, really easy. So I can't complain on that front. Oh, and I forgot to do that. Sorry, there's a few of these that I by default get rid of so that I don't end up with double inputs here. And I forgot to do that before the video. I said this is a brand new one here. And I ought to just get in the habit of doing the, copy my control configs over or something, but I've never done that in the past. It would definitely be quicker than doing it this way though. So yeah, that would be probably a beneficial change. I guess I just don't start new profiles that often, so I've had in the past though where I had, so down on my DualShock 4 this is enter, and by default, no, it's not that's enter, it's one of the other ones that by default it does something else, and I was trying to do a different I don't remember what I was trying to do, and then it would like auto park me. It was like, no, I didn't want to auto park. Oh. Okay. Come on, you gonna let me over? Come on, let me over. Thank you, kind of. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go back down here. Mick Sackall, huh? Criminal defense attorney. There you go. Anyway, I'm loving the shifter so far. Does make me kind of wish it were mounted a little bit lower. I don't currently have a way to do that. I would have to come up with something, and I don't currently have that option, but maybe I'll have to look towards doing that. Now, as you may notice, I mean, just partly by the way I'm streaming, most of my setup is for me. I mean, I enjoy streaming some here. I obviously don't have a large following at this point, but most of the setup I get for me, and so that's why I have, that's why I have a triple screen setup. That's not best for streaming. I realize that, but I just started doing it a couple of weeks ago, and at this point, I do not want to go back. So as you can see, my three monitors. My middle one is actually an ultra wide screen, and then the sides are not, which means that I can't use NVIDIA Surround or AMD iFinity. Now I've got NVIDIA graphics cards, so that would be my only real option. So I'm using Soft TH, which also means I struggled and struggled, but could not get the 64. Whoa, that was close. I could not get the 64-bit version to work with Soft TH. I used the 64-bit version of Soft TH and everything, and no luck. So I am running the unsupported 32-bit version of American Truck Simulator, which, thank you to whatever forum out there that pointed out that was an option, because I was just under the impression that there was no way to get it to run in 32-bit mode. So I was just going to be out of luck, which I had been playing Euro Truck Simulator on 32-bit mode, and so it was kind of a bummer to go away from the 32-bit mode and going to Soft T8, or going away from a triple screen. And so I was like, the New Mexico DLC is going to be awesome, but I don't want to give this up. So that was kind of where I found myself at that point. That is an interesting conundrum. Oh, this is me. If I do an Alt-Tab, then I end up losing where I was previously on like the range and the gear splitter. So that kind of isn't the greatest. So that's definitely something I'm going to have to get used to, which makes it extra difficult to check my YouTube chat. So for that reason, I may be limited to checking the chat when I'm stopped or in between or whatever the case is. Anyway, which is too bad. I had a laptop. I actually just got rid of it last week. Otherwise, I'd use the laptop to follow the chat with, but I don't have that option. I'm should be getting another one here soon, but I don't currently have a laptop, so that's not an option. I don't know. I was looking to see if there was an app on my phone or something that I could track it with, but that does not seem to be the case. So I guess, at least for this evening, I'm just going to have to assume, for the most part, that nobody's following the stream, which, based off previous streams, that's probably not too far of a stretch. Anyway, so I'm not sure if my settings are different here, but this truck is driving very differently than the last one I had, just turning wise, and I'm thinking it's because it's a flat nose Kenworth, a cab over Kenworth. Whereas the last one I think I was driving was a conventional truck, but I think it was like a Peterbilt 389 or something. So I was running on a different profile earlier today, and actually I guess just before this, and they were both conventional trucks. So I think it's just this cab over feels very different. It could also be the difference that the physics mod is making, so I'm not sure if that might be part of it. Sorry, getting a drink there. Anyway, so I'm trying to, one of the things I really noticed as I thought about streaming with the triple screen is you wouldn't be able to see anything. It would look like I'm not checking my mirrors, I'm not being aware of my surroundings and stuff, and so I thought maybe this head-mounted camera might work pretty well to let anybody who watches this, whether while I'm streaming or after the fact, see what I'm seeing, kind of see the whole picture. So that's kind of why I'm doing this, and in my little just testing for myself, it seemed to work well. That doesn't mean that everybody's gonna like it, but it seemed to work well from my point of view. I did initially have what my webcam's seeing over here, and I've switched it to the other side because in most trucks this is where the GPS is, so then it ends up that my webcam blocks the GPS. So for better or for worse, I decided it was probably for worse. It was blocking the view there, so I modified that. So one thing I'm noticing with the Easy Jake, the way it works is you wanna set it not as the toggle, which is what I initially did, but as the push button so that it kicks in. But one of the disadvantages is you can't leave it on all the time, because then I'm not gonna make it. Damn it. Well, there went any money I made on this route. This physics mod is making a huge difference. That was a very different slowdown than what I was doing even just right before this. Come on. Anyway, the Easy Jake makes it where I thought I was just going to be able to leave it on, and then, when I kick it off, anyway, that's what I've done with the engine brake toggle option in the past, but this doesn't work like a toggle. It works like the push button, which means that when I turn it on, it auto kills my cruise. Now, as long as I'm not using the cruise, it's not too big of a problem, but if I'm using the cruise, then it auto kills that cruise, and so then that ends up not being something I can just leave on all the time, which isn't such a big deal because it is so easy to access, but it's working a little differently than I thought it would, and I don't know if maybe that will change in the past the way that it works. I don't know. Obviously, it's an Arduino board that's controlling it, so Paul over at Tech Affliction could decide to change the way things work in the future at some point. I know a little sad, but I'm still happy about the purchase. Version 4 just came out, so mine is version 3, or mine's version 2 and version 3 just came out. Anyway, and he said something about version 4 has LEDs or something, so mine does not have that. I ordered, looks like a week or two too soon to get that, but you know what? It's okay. I'm just glad that I got it in the end. I ordered I guess we'll go into that, and I've talked about this on my channel before, but I read about the SKRS, and I saved up some money, and back in August I ordered an SKRS, and then I waited some more, and I started doing some research and found out, oh look, people are having a hard time getting their, they're not getting these, and I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I waited longer. And then I got less patient, and so anyway, went through, tried to update. I created a ticket on the website saying, hey, what's the progress of my build? No response. And frankly, at that point, I probably would have been happy if I'd gotten a response. Oh, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. I would have been happy to get a response, and they didn't respond. And so I did more research, and so then I put on that same ticket eventually. I said, I want my order canceled. And I still didn't hear anything back from them. And so then I got a little more miffed, and didn't make it. Okay, I've got to get used to this for sure. Anyway, got more miffed, and I was like, anyway, did some more research and found out, yeah, basically nobody who's ordered within any recent period of time has gotten theirs. And so then I read some blogs, specifically about a guy who had been fighting this as well, and he did a Better Business Bureau complaint and never got a response, and so I decided I'd try that as well, and I did a Better Business Bureau complaint, and like him, I never got a response. Anyway, so finally, when the time came that I had the money together to order the Mega Shifter, I called up my bank, and I said, hey, I started a Reddit thread. I said, hey, how many of you people have been burned in the past? And got some responses. And so then one guy said, I had great luck getting my money back from my bank. So I went ahead and I contacted my bank and found out the procedure, and they immediately refunded my money, and then said they would contact CSIO. I give them all the information. I forwarded all of the stuff. My monitor's off a little bit over there. Anyway, they did all that. Looked more than, they were more than happy to do it. Okay. Yeah, they're not too bad, I guess. Okay. And so then I've got to think here. Anyway, so then I'd contacted the bank, and they immediately sent me a refund, although it's a temporary refund, and I actually still don't know whether I'm going to get to keep that, frankly, because if CSIO were somehow to convince them, that I was being untruthful, then maybe they'd take that money back. So at this point, I'm not spending it. But I ordered this at that point, and man, I'm not doing a very good job here. And within a week, I'd heard from Paul saying, you know, gotten your order, whatnot. And then, man, I'm thinking it must be a cloudy day or something. Okay, so we are about next to, you know what, I'm gonna have to. Okay, let's look around. What are my options here? Well, that guy back there is probably laughing at me at this point. I could pull over there and blindside it. Or I can attempt what I'm doing again, which I just don't think is going to work. We're going to try and blindside it here. Anyway, and so I almost immediately heard from Paul. The only mishap I had was his website went down. I went on to check his website, and anyway, it ended up that GoDaddy had changed up his PHP version, which caused his software to stop working with his website, and so then he had to upgrade the website, and in the process he lost like the old order data. So my order was still there, but I wasn't able to track it anymore and whatnot, and my user disappeared. So when I went on to check my order, it was no longer there. Oh, I gotta straighten this out a lot. Okay, anyway, so that's a little bit too bad, but in comparison to what I mean, that's a very minor issue, right? I mean, I still got my order, so I am not miffed about that one at all. Man, I cannot see worth a hoot. How are we looking on our? Can't see anything. How are we looking? I'm worse off than I was before. Okay. We're going to do take 3 on this. Anyway, so very happy with Paul, Tech Affliction, the service there. No qualms on that front. The build quality seems great. Much better than I have at least. Oh, you know what part of my problem is? My mirrors are off. Anyway, much better than the build quality that I've read about on the SKRS. Now, lots of people who did finally get theirs, and then the quality was just, where is that mirror? Oh, that's not the one I think I'm managing. There, that gives me a lot better. Okay, let's try it like that. Okay. Anyway, so very happy with the product so far. Now, you know, I've had it all of, I don't know, 8 hours at this point, so there's that. Let's see. You know what? I'm doing this trick because I am never going to make this. I do not claim to be an awesome backer, and I am proving that to be the case. So when watching Squirrel's videos, this is one of the things he says. He's like, look, in the learning phase, go ahead and use third person view. Anyway, so we're going to do that. And we will actually get this thing in there. I'm still missing it. So let's go ahead and Nope, this way. One of the problems I face on third-person view is the backing is easier, but the driving forward is a whole lot harder. I'm still not even close. Too bad I'm not parking that spot, huh? Okay, we're gonna take this all over again. Ah, dang it. I said, the driving forward is a whole lot harder. Okay, so now. Anyway, so that's that there. I'm quite happy with it. I would recommend it at this point to anybody. I'm excited for other products that Tech Affliction is going to be coming out with here in the near future, or hopefully near future. And I'm still not even going to get this. We're going to get it. It's just a good thing I'm in this cab over, huh? And yeah. At some point it doesn't matter what your equipment is because the skills just aren't there. Oh. And this is where I'm wishing I were parking in the space next to it, right? Okay, I'm getting all over the place. Okay, we're gonna go forward just a bit. Oh, I'm still a space off. I was thinking I was almost there, but I'm still a space off. Okay, man, this is about the worst parking job I think I have ever done. Okay, ever's a long time. That's probably stretching it. But at least in a while here. I'll tell you, I was doing a lot better after watching Squirrel's trucking school videos, but apparently I have lost it all at this point. We're gonna get this. Okay, we'll start bringing it around. And I hit the trailer next to it. Okay. Auto parking. Who needs auto parking? Apparently I do. We're gonna get it on this one. Oh, that's forward. Okay, we've got this one. I could probably even do this one in first person at this point. Or not, because, you know, I'm getting off in third person, so let's try this again. Okay, I will be happy when they are happy. I'm not going to be picky this time. And we're done. Oh man, that was bad. I guess at this point I'm kind of glad nobody's watching, because that was really not very impressive. And I got in 2 accidents, lost like $240, and made all of $127. So we're going to have to do better on this next delivery. Still an empty chat. Okay, let's go to quick jobs and see what we've got. So I happen to be in Alamogordo, and I can go to Carlsbad. That could be fun. I've never been to Carlsbad in real life, so that could be fun. Okay. I've also got the option of going to Socorro, which I've already been to in-game, or Roswell. You know what? Let's go to Carlsbad. And got a little windy road. That looks like that could be a fun delivery. Okay. Looks like is that a Kenworth W900? So I listened to an interesting podcast the other day. This podcast, it talked about whether we actually, it's a Peterbilt 389. Okay. It looks like we have a 10-speed Eaton Fuller, huh? Ooh, I'm going to have to change things up then. Anyway, there's a, does agency exist? It was really an interesting, discussion, and I got in a discussion with somebody else afterwards, and they were not too happy about the idea of, well, maybe it doesn't exist, and I got mirrors instead. And their take was, well, what does it matter? I mean, like, what does it gain us if there's not? What does this knowledge gain us? I think about that, and I said, well, you know, what does any knowledge gain us? Because you could always, you know, make the argument of, well, what does this actually gain us? But I am of the opinion, and others may not be, that all knowledge, whether it seems helpful or not, is worth having. And so the more knowledge we have, the better off we are in the long run. And so this idea of, well, you know, if there is no agency, it's kind of a depressing thought, I guess. But what good does it do us? But the one thing that I thought of is in our justice system. So here in the U.S., our justice system does not care a whole lot about rehabilitation. Like, that is not on the cards. It seems to be, well, if we put them away long enough, that's all we really care about, you know. Keep them away from society so they're not hurting more people, and that's what matters to us. Which, you know, as far as keeping society safe for a time, can be a good thing, but it doesn't do a whole lot for rehabilitation, and not having them be a repeat offender. And so the question is, well, is that really where we want to be? And with the idea of agency or lack thereof, the thought that I had, diesel exhaust fluid. Oh, so that's my DEF tank, huh? Cool. The thought that I had was, well, you know, that could actually make you, it's a 10-speed. I was like, second. But it could very well modify the way that you treat others. You know, if I'm a judge, and I'm not a judge, so, you know, this isn't my my place to be. Well, let's take a step back. For a long time, apparently I waited too long or something. Anyway, for a long time, the justice system per se, think primitive cultures, early cultures, maybe primitive isn't the correct term, but it was about revenge. Like, if your family was avenged, then that met the criteria. And so, well, a lot of the whole idea of revenge, I went up a bit on there, depends on the idea that there was choice. Because if there's if no choice is involved, what are you avenging? But the point of it is to then, man, that is some glitchy graphics. The point is to get revenge. The point is not to, reform the person or anything like that. Okay, I'm going to check my graphics settings real quick. The point is to avenge them. It's to get even, to pay back. Well, they look normal, for having done something evil, hurt somebody, which, that's the way it was. And sadly, in our current American system, all too often that's where it goes to. People are families of victims, and being someone who's red light violation, that just turned green. Apparently I had a left turn light. I may not have been paying enough attention, actually. Oh well. Apparently I'm not making any money on this delivery either. And apparently I can't find that gear. But if you are looking at a vengeance status, then sometimes our system does that, but a lot of times people come in court looking for justice, looking for this person to somehow atone for the damage they've done, which, can't actually happen, because you can't, you can't undo what you did, right? I mean, what you did is already done. And no matter whether I go to prison or not, it doesn't take away the pain. And in fact, a lot of times families of victims, come away from the whole court proceedings and have this feeling of, well, that didn't provide for me what I hoped it would. Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm going for the wrong gear here. Sorry, I'm not used to the 10-speed layout. But they come away from the court hearing, took that too close, having hoped for some kind of closure that they didn't get, because, well, revenge doesn't really accomplish that anyway. Oh man, this shift pattern is way different than what I'm used to. Anyway, revenge, is it ever going to give you what you're hoping for? But is that also really what you want from your justice system? Is that what we want our justice system to accomplish? Is getting revenge? Or is our justice system out there, and this is kind of where I stand on the issue, I guess, to reform people so that it doesn't happen again, right? And if you're out to reform people, then maybe you're the consequences are going to be very different than they otherwise would be, because you have a different goal in mind. And if the goal is to change behavior, how do you go about changing behavior? Well, the argument is that, from a science point of view, now I've done a little programming. I'm not great at it, but I've done a little programming. But if you look at a program, you say, well, okay, so this is pretty cool stuff, by the way, the surroundings here. But if you write a program, it responds to stored variables, stored constants, and input. And based off of those things, then it makes decisions. And even, I mean, essentially that's what artificial intelligence teaches itself, but otherwise it's basically doing the same thing. It's taking whatever inputs. Now, I'm not saying that artificial intelligence is on the same level as other simpler programming by any means. Don't get me wrong, I would not make that claim, but in the end it's taking inputs, making decisions accordingly, and spitting it out. And the truth of the matter is that if you knew the state of all of the program before you put in the input, you know what choice it's going to make. And that's part of the bug finding process of writing most code, is figuring out whether it's returning the results that you expect given a given input. Interesting. I wonder if that's that road that I've read about. Anyway, and I'm about to crest the hill here, so I don't want to I guess I'm almost kind of about to crest the hill. But if you knew all of those states, that is one of those hidden roads, or the hidden road, or whatever the case is. It's one of those states. It's one of those things that if you knew the states of all the inputs, you could then assess what the end result would be, and predict. And the idea is that, well, our brain is very, very, very complex, but in essence, agency is an illusion based off of given inputs, given current status. We would always make the same decision, and so as such, is there actually agency as we see it? And if there isn't agency as we think of agency, then is it right to hold anybody accountable, responsible? I don't necessarily like either of those terms for it, but is it right to hold them, to punish them, to get revenge against them for something that they do, when in the end they didn't actually have a choice in the matter, Now, if you look at it and say, well, even if they don't have a choice, I don't want it to happen again, you say, well, that's a very noble thing to look at, and I agree. This is way cool. This is a way cool little road. Anyway, I don't want it to happen again either. So if you look at the justice system as figuring out a way to not have it happen again, deprogramming that individual so that it is not worth it to them, so that if you give them the same input again, they would make a different decision. And our prisons in America are not set up to do that. That is not what they're there to do. So I need to drop a gear. Watching a video earlier talking about you should go down the hill a gear lower than what you climbed the hill in. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and drop a gear. And let's kick on that Jake brake now. Anyway, so, if your goal is to, take an extreme example, murder or rape or something like that, and you say, well, my goal is to keep that person from murdering or raping again, well, one obvious choice would be to, capital punishment type idea. They're not going to do it again, but I actually don't agree with capital punishment. So for me, that's not a civilized option. It is an option, and I won't say it's not an option, but I don't see it as an acceptable option. And it's not that I don't think that a society at some point can decide that or is unable to decide that somebody is just, too dangerous. But I think that there probably got to be better options, right? Like, isn't there a more moral way? Someone kills somebody else, and so the moral option is to then kill them in response, to keep them from killing somebody else. But isn't there a better response that we could go to? So long story short, too late. Our judicial system is not set up to rehabilitate. It is set up to contain, as long as possible, and possibly, I mean, that's the big one, is containing. In fact, if somebody goes to prison for a more minor offense, there's a good chance that they're going to come away from that prison stay more of a danger to society than they were when they went in, because they went in for something minor, say, marijuana possession, and they ended up spending time in prison, or even, say, marijuana dealing. So now they go to prison where they are interacting and forcing to survive amongst violent criminals who have done things much worse than that. And so then they come away and have to adapt. They have to adapt to that situation, and they come away worse off than they were before. And so that's kind of where I look at, well, we're not actually helping things in the long run, because we're putting them in a worse place that brings them away worse. And so if our goal is to not have this happen again, we're not doing it right. And so the only reason I see necessarily having really harsh sentences is to then keep things from happening, to change that equation so it's not worth it. But most of the time, I think harsh sentences, people support them from a situation of revenge, not from a situation of trying to rehabilitate the offender, because, well, prison doesn't bring rehabilitation. That's not its goal. I'm getting used to this 10 speed. It's getting better. Although the really wide gears are taking some getting used to. Anyway, and so back to the agency, the freedom of choice idea. If there's no freedom of choice, how does that change your view? Does it make it easier not to hate the offender? Does it make it easier to not get caught up in that hate cycle and try to demand really harsh punishments to get even with them? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Myself, I've never been in that situation where, I've been waiting for an offender, waiting for that closure, hoping that it's going to settle it for me. Okay, so what town is this? Oh, there it was. Artesia, huh? This is a cool little town. Oh, that was so close. I'm still getting used to this braking. Oh. Man, that was, I am like on that guy's tail. I did not hit him though. Come on. Try not to rev so high. And we are at the end here. Well, that was at least a short red. Oh, and we've got another red right here. I'm not getting to use any of my splitter gears, but it's okay. Oh, and this is my turn actually. Oh, Too close. Too close. Oh, man. So I had my side screens adjusted better, but I moved them, and apparently I didn't put them back in the right places. Because it gets a little bit of that wavy look going on. You gonna hit me? Thank you for not hitting me. So I could have not turned down this way. I guess I should have looked over there. Come on. Oh, I'm kind of a bit low in that gear, but we'll make it. Anyway, so that was kind of the thoughts, some of the thoughts I was having. We are okay. As I listened to that and the idea of free will or the lack thereof, and how does that affect society if as a society that we realized, assuming that's what the end conclusion is, that there is no free will, that and my wife has a saying, and I'm not sure where she got it, so I'm not going to be able to give credit to the original author, but you know better, you do better. And that kind of plays into that. I mean, you could say, well, you have agency and you just know better, that's why you're choosing better. But if you look at it from the prospect of, well, agency doesn't exist, then as the programming changes, the choices made will change. I mean, that will be the end result. And so, anyway, you know better, you do better. And so then you end up, if you look at a society as a society and say, well, if we don't want violent criminals, which we have a plethora of in the United States, what do we need to do to overcome that? Is the argument for toxic masculinity, is the argument for inequality among the the classes? Is it, I mean where is this coming from? But if you look at it as a problem solving endeavor, where do we go from here, instead of anybody's fault? I mean, because if you really take it down and you say, well, nobody has free will, nobody has agency, then in the end nothing is anybody's fault. It just is. And if you look at it as well, how do we overcome this problem? Then you work through it that way instead of so this is Carlsbad, huh? And I just about ate that car. How close am I? Too close. Somebody honking at me? Oh, they're looking at the car in front of me because he's not moving up. Gotcha. Anyway, so if you look at it that way, you say, well, in essence, society, and you could already look at, it's a lot easier to look at society as a set of inputs than it is individuals. Whoa, that was a lot lower than I thought it was. I just grabbed a random gear, and that was the wrong gear. Anyway, if you look at, you can look at society as a set of inputs, but if you look as individuals as a set of inputs as well, and then you say, well, how do I change the output? Well, you change the output by changing the input, or by changing the information that's there, by reteaching, and so it comes down to education, I guess, in the end. And if you can change the inputs, then you can change the outputs. Sorry, I'm watching my tack here, trying to get my shifts. So I'm probably going to end up, yep, I've got a red light right there. Oh no, that's a red turn arrow. Ah, now I've got a red light. We're going to try starting in second, because first just seems a little low. Anyway, so, you know, as a society, if we look at it from a, how do we improve society as a whole? And so if our goal with our judicial system is to keep rape from happening, or to keep murder from happening, or to keep violent crime in general from happening, or theft, or whatever it is, you know, then we need to figure out what keeps it from happening in the first place. You know, in the case of theft, oftentimes that's just not, I mean, there are people who steal just for the thrill of it, but the majority of theft happens because of want. And so if you get rid of want, you can get rid of that, you know, what causes violence. And then on top of that, how do you then keep it from happening again? You know, what do you have to do to change the initial equation that felt that it was okay, or that it was beneficial to do? How do you then change that equation? How do you change that equation going forward so that they don't feel that it's worth it the next time around? See if it changes before I creep through. Yeah. No reason to just keep accelerating, because I'm just going to be decelerating here. I tried to skip down a gear. That did not work. I wonder if I should just skip some gears here as I'm getting going, because this is my turn. You know what? I did this on purpose because I wanted to go over past this question mark place over here. See that? So I wanted to make sure that I got to that. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, except this is going to be fun, it looks like. Well, we'll see how that goes. It may actually be some kind of a weird, not going to have the chance over there or something. So I can always come back. Oh, not there. Oh, thanks. Is this, yeah, this is my turn, okay. Oh, I totally, no. Oh, I didn't get it all the way down, that's what happened. I cannot see. There we go. Anyway, so I guess, you know, long story short, those are some of the thoughts that I was having as I listened to that on the drive, and the changes in society that it could make. So I guess where I originally came into this is, what good does this knowledge do, assuming it's true? Well, in the end, I don't think that any knowledge, apparently that has a, oh, come on. Anyway, any knowledge, assuming it turns out to be accurate, is a bad thing. Now, I guess things can get put to bad uses, but knowledge helps you make better decisions, and so by having more accurate knowledge, it would always be better than having less accurate knowledge. At least that's the thought. Now, it may not be 100% true, but I just can't think of any example where, you know, outside of sociopaths who are just going to use knowledge for bad, where having knowledge could be worse than not having knowledge, because there are people who put knowledge to bad use. But as a society, having that knowledge, I mean, even if it's the knowledge of, well, how do people manipulate other people, and thus as a society we can figure out how to not have that happen to us, you know, or how to protect each other from that. Okay, now here comes the fun part, because I'm going to be parking off over there. Okay, hazards. The hazards are good to turn on. Oh, that's not even where I thought it would be. Okay, so let's go ahead and head over that way. So I've got my hazards on at this point. It's supposed to go down right in there, huh? This is going to be a fun one. Okay. Now, based off my last one, nobody should be expecting too much, right? At least we'll hope that's the case. And then I wonder, okay, do I even have a chance of getting that around? I actually do. I actually think I can do that. Okay, now, okay, so now I need to send this guy over there. I might almost have this one. Okay, before I go too much farther and pat myself on the back, I am gonna get this one. Okay. And I took it too far, so let's go ahead and straighten out just a bit. Okay, we are actually going to go quite a bit farther out. Okay. A little bit more. We've got this. I'm not saying I'm not going to have to pull up again or anything, but we do have this. Oh, wrong way, wrong way. Oh. Oh, nope, nope, wrong way, wrong way. And we're in. I am actually a little bit happy with that one. Compared to my last one, that was phenomenal. And we are in. Cool. $85. I think I'm still less than when I started. But I went up a level. So we are going to do high value cargo because I think with this economy mod, that's going to be my best way to try and make some more money, is to be able to do high value cargo. Yeah, 1,254. I started with 1,500. I'm worse off than I was when I started the game. I think that's probably all I'm going to stream for now. Anybody that watches this later, thanks for coming and watching, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you much.